She told me that she threw her wedding ring down the lavatory on her honeymoon night. But the military deserter must have lurked around enough to sire Molly's 3 kids, Alistair, Viola, and finally my mother, Jean. Eventually he remarried some émigré Russian wannabe Princess Anastasia, and that's all I know about him. Unquestionably, Granny had a raw deal. Her only son, Alistair, drowned in a boating accident near Swanage in Dorset after he had just left school at 18. I have a photo of the man who would have been my uncle on my desk as I write. It affected Granny hugely, but it particularly traumatized my mother. Mum had a complete fixation on Alistair and was forever proclaiming psychic contact with him. Curiously, I think she did have contact with him, although her promise to get hold of me when she discovered how, made in a letter just before she died, has so far failed to deliver. In 1938, Granny found herself bereft of her beloved son and a single mum supporting 2 daughters. The army tosser had never properly supported her, so she was forced to sell a big house on Harrow Hill and move to the South Kensington rented flat on Harrington Road, SW7. When Mum met a plumber's son named William Lloyd Webber, a young scholarship boy white hope of the pre-war Royal College of Music, love blossomed. Soon, despite the Second World War, nuptials could not be put on hold. Dad had close to 0 income. That's why he, Mum, Granny and Mimi shacked up under one roof. A mere 2 years after VE Day, this post-war ménage à quatre came to an abrupt end. Mum got pregnant. Mimi became horrendously distressed and violently attacked my mother's stomach with blood-curdling cries. In short, Mimi was the first person to take a dislike to Andrew Lloyd Webber. A decision was taken that Mimi had to ankle out of the South Kensington ménage on the urgent side of ASAP. On March the 22nd, 1948, I brought the number of residents up to 4 again. Cut forward to the 1960s, and 10 Harrington Court, Harrington Road, redefined the B in Bohemian. At its 1967 occupational peak, it housed Granny Molly, Mum, Dad, plus his huge electronic church organ, Tchaikovsky prize-winning pianist John Lill, Tim Rice, my cellist brother Julian, and me. Number 10 was on the top floor of one of those Victorian mansion blocks where the lift occasionally worked, but most of the time you used the stairs. The traffic noise was deafening, but I doubt if the neighbours heard it, such were the sounds of music emanating from our household. One afternoon, Tim Rice and I were descending the stairs out of the menagerie. Julian was practising the cello. A bloke from the flat below leapt out and accosted us. "I don't mind about the pianist," he rankled. "It's that oboe player I can't stand." However, as bizarrely bohemian as 10 Harrington Court may have been, I couldn't wait to get out of it, particularly as Mum, from time to time, threatened my brother and me with jumping out of the 4th-floor window. This got boring after a bit, so enter into this narrative my aunt, my impossibly, adorably, unrepeatably politically incorrect Auntie Vi, Granny's eldest daughter. She was married to a slightly pompous doctor called George Crosby, for whom Granny had worked as a secretary when she was really down on her uppers. Vi had a brief career as an actress. She was hilariously funny, and a great cook, with several serious recipe books to her name. She knew a few glamorous names in theatre. She was everything my family wasn't, and I adored her. She was my escape valve. 50 years later, I still daren't print her sayings. In the 1960s, she was the author of the first gay cookbook. A chapter monikered Cock and Game Meat is headlined, "Too many cocks spoil the breath." Frankly, I was falsely cited as the cause of Mimi the monkey's behavioural setbacks. Surely 10 Harrington Court was no place for a simian bent on swinging around the community. However, my mother stood by her initial stance. 10 years later, she took brother Julian and me to Chessington Zoo. On entering the monkey house, she let out a great cry of "Mimi!" more than worthy of her limping tenor. The simian turned its head, puzzled. "Look, she recognises me. It's Mimi," said Mum triumphantly, as the monkey leapt across its cage and climbed the wire in aggressive fashion, uttering the most fierce...